Yep.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Public Works Committee meeting, June 21st. Let's begin with the motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Mr. Bruno on the motion, Mr. Merlino on the second. Comments, suggestions? There being none. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the previous meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Hajos, would you like to begin with Parks and Rec? Well, why don't we begin with Parks and Rec? Item 3.1, action agenda, new business. Notice of intent to fill the position of Director of Warren County Parks, Recreation and Railroad. Chair will entertain a motion, bring this to the floor for consideration. Mr. Bruno, Mr. Thomas on the second. Any discussion? This, of course, is due to a retirement.
Yep.
Everybody good with this?
Yep.
All right, then. All those in favor of approving this item, I want to look up, make sure Andrea's not. Okay, I see you there, Andrea. All those in favor of the request to fill this important position signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay.
Um,
I know.
Item 3.2, what do we have here, Mr. Hajos?
I know we're in a hurry. I just wanted to really quickly say about the notice of intent you just filled the director position for Parks and Rec is Tim Benway, who's been with the county for 30 years, just retired. He started off as an intern here at the county, and after that first summer, they hired him on full time, and he worked himself all the way up through to become the director of Parks and Rec, and he will be missed. But sitting beside me is Jeff Ingley, who is sort of filling in for Tim Benway at the time, and I will turn over the next two requests to Tim. Or, I'm sorry, to Jeff, because it's usually Tim sitting here.
All right, Jeff, what do we have here on 3.2?
3.2 is to extend an existing contract between Warren County, the South Warren Snowmobile Club, and the city of Gwentz Falls. It is referencing the West Mountain parking lot that is just south of the Aviation Road and West Mountain intersection. It's a two-part agreement. Part one being granting Warren County the right to maintain the lot in the wintertime, plowing. And part two being allowing access for the South Warren Snowmobile Club to get in and allow parking and also maintenance of the trails.
This is extension of an existing agreement that we've had.
Yes, 1-year extension.
Right, 1-year extension. All right, well, Mr. Merlino, bring it forward for consideration. Mr. Bruno, thank you. Any discussion? Are we ready for the question? All those in favor of extending this contract signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Item 3.3. Jeff, what do we have here?
This item is, we were approached last year by the Foss family. They have lost their son, had set up a memorial and asked that all donations be submitted to Warren County Fish Hatchery. This was in October, I believe we received our last donation. So given the timing, being late in the season, we decided to send the money into deferred comp or deferred revenue, I'm sorry. At this time, we would like to have the money transferred into supplies, and we were going to set up a tree, plant a tree and set up a landscape area in his dedication.
Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds nice. Mr. Bruno, bring that forward. Mr. Thomas on the second. Any further discussion? I think that's really great. All right, then, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of amending the county budget as detailed signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Information for discussion review. Item 5, referral pending items in regard to 2 parcels of land in the town of Johnsburg. Anything more on that right now, Kevin?
No, unless Andrea has anything to say on it, and whether or not they've set up a meeting for either Dara Landscaping or myself to come to talk about the subdivision of the subdividing the parcels.
Okay.
I'm continuing to work on it, Kevin. I'll be in touch shortly. Sorry
Okay.
for the delays.
Progress being made. That's good news. Item 2, Kevin?
The next item on there is, as you recall, Wendell Beadnell came to the last, I think it was a couple meetings ago, in regards to the Shriner Circus, the Shrine Circus that he wanted to have on the fairgrounds, although he can't do it on the fairgrounds because of course we have glamping there now. So he requested to use the area across the street that we normally do parking during Warrensburg Bike Rally, and then the area in front of the Countryside Nursing Home. So he came back and provided me a sketch. Typically, we do a $25 a day to use the pavilions and such on either the hatchery and or the fairgrounds if no one else is there. I was proposing to do $25 a day for him. It would be July 17th and 18th. I don't necessarily need a resolution because we could do it based on a facilities use permit. So, but I was to come back to let the committee know that he did provide me the information, and unless we want to change the fee that we would normally do, then we just leave it at that. And I move forward with the facilities use permit, and he'll give us all the proper insurance in regards to that facility use permit, and he'll be there July 17th and 18th.
So they roll in morning of the 17th and they're gonna roll away in the afternoon.
The afternoon, the 18th, and it's 1 tent, and they will be, I believe that's Sunday, Monday, and Saturday they will be in Ticonderoga. So they'll roll out of Ticonderoga, roll into here, set up, do it for their 2 days, and then roll out on the 18th.
We're in there on that boardwalk.
Any, and of course, any wear or tear on the property will be taken care of.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's just a report, correct, Kevin?
That's correct.
Okay. Privilege of the floor. Is anyone looking to address the committee at this time? I don't see anyone. And why don't we move right into the Public Works agenda, if that's all right? Kevin, what do we have here on item 3?
So the first item we have under action agenda items is a request to amend the budget, and this is to reflect the receipt of insurance covenant recovery, and it was guide rail damage down at our south end shop.
Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Merlino on the second. Any discussion? There being none, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of accepting the recovery signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Now, item 2, Kevin.
Next item we have on there is to amend the 2022 capital project H401 Sagamore Road retaining wall with the $700,000 serial bonding. So we're appropriating the money to that project now.
Mr. Dickinson on the motion, Mr. Merlino on the second. Any discussion? I mean, this really relates, I'll just quickly say, this really relates to generally the cost of municipal projects, generally speaking. We're seeing it across the board now. The escalation of cost is significant on all our projects, bridges, highways. I don't see any wavering on this. Frank, did you have something?
Is 700,000 gonna be enough to do this project? or-
We will see when it goes out to bid. As you all recall, I talked about at the board meeting, is the initial bids that came in were $1.5 million. So that was double basically what we expected to be, or a little bit more than double what we expected to be. That was due to the fact that they had to use a piece of equipment based on the design that really wouldn't allow them room to not block Sagamore Road, and we told them they couldn't do that. So there was a discussion of building a platform actually farther out, which that was the significance and the cost. We're looking at a redesign right now, and we will have the bids out, and I think I have it in my project that I'll talk about it in a minute. We'll have the bids out and we'll know whether or not that'll be but they have done a significant change in the design. So we're hoping that that'll bring that price down from the last bid.
We're seeing in other projects where at one time we had a culvert, a large culvert. Now that's no longer going to meet requirements, and we're going to be having to put in a much more significant structure. Were you going to comment on that later, Kevin, the kind of changes? But
Yes.
in any event, Kevin will be commenting on that later. But again, things that are happening that are going to be affecting our budgets. All right, then, did we bring this forward? I think we brought it forward. Are we ready for the question then? All those in favor of amending the budget signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Request miscellaneous authorizing appropriations due to the increase in fuel costs. Kevin, surprise, surprise, what do we have here?
So I just handed out to each of you on the committee, basically the 2021 fuel cost at this time and where we were at. And then if you flip through, you'll see the 2022 cost. You'll see that last year, this time, we were at $2.22 a gallon. We are currently at $4.15 a gallon. So it's about 186% increase from last year, this year. When we went into budget last year, we did, project a little bit higher. By no means did we project that we were ever going to go this high. So if you look at first, second, I want to say that the third page, you'll see projected right now as of April, as of the end of April, we are short or will be short $158,000 by the end of the year. So I am asking for an increase in the net with both these next two resolutions of $200,000 to be moved into that to cover costs. And I'm not even sure by the end of the year that the $200,000 will be enough either, depending on how gas prices fall out.
So where's this money coming from?
This money I originally put contingency on there, but I don't believe there would be enough in contingency to pull that money out. So I think we appropriated, or we were asking to see if that would come from the fund balance, I believe. Unappropriated surplus.
Well, let's bring it to the floor for discussion. Mr. Dickinson on the motion, Mr. Thomas on the second. Okay, let's have that discussion. The question was from Mr. Dickinson as to source of these dollars, and your response was?
And my response was right now, unless Supervisor Thomas tells me something different as a budget officer, that it would be unappropriated surplus.
From DA or?
A. I don't, and that's the thing, I don't have any money in the D. I mean, when we budgeted last year, we didn't expect the increases that we're seeing now. I mean, we went up last year, I believe, probably 15,000 to 20,000 in the budget last year to this year to thought we were going to be covered. But as of end of April, we're showing that we're going to be approximately $158,000 short now. By the end of the year, we could be upwards of $200,000 easily, especially if prices continue to rise.
So that you're thinking the 200,000 will cover you year to date, or will it take you through June, July? Or what's your thinking on the additional 200?
I'm hoping it covers me for the remainder of the year, but I just heard some other news about Biden and eliminating the 18.5 cents holiday and such. I don't know where that's going, but I'm not sure that it's going to help us.
Okay. Well, I mean, we have to do this but I think that we all at the municipal level, we all know, we're bracing ourselves now. The budgets are off the charts. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, and I didn't, I mean, this is strictly gas and diesel for our fleet. This has nothing, and I haven't even hit on it yet. We're reviewing it right now, is kind of your heating oil. I know right now that I believe my shop is out of heating oil. So come winter, or come the cooler weather when we have to start turning on the heat again, that's going to be an impact to the budget as well.
Absolutely. Homeowners as well. Homeowners as
Electric
well.
heaters and electric trucks. How are they covered?
All right, then, are we ready for the question
Yeah.
then? All those in favor of authorizing the appropriation of 200,000 for the fuel cost signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 4, amend the budget, machinery, automotive gas and oil budget rationale due to the increase in fuel costs. What do we have here, Kevin?
So this is to move the money into the DM code where we have the machinery automotive gas and oil.
Okay, I should have taken this. Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Bruno on the second, I should have taken this with item 3, but I think we've discussed it. Any discussion? Are we ready for the question? All those in favor of removing it to this code signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Item 5, notice of intent to fill the position MEO number 28. And why don't we take 5 and 6 together and request to fill MEO light number 13. Chair will entertain a motion, bring this to the floor for discussion. Mr. Bruno, Mr. Dickinson on the second. Kevin, what do we have?
These are two individuals who went on to find better paying job somewhere else. One of them didn't actually go to a town in our county, but it went to another town. And the other one went to a dairy farm to drive a truck for them. And both of them are receiving much more compensation than they would here at the county.
Anybody interested? Phil?
And I have nobody filling them. In fact, I had the conversation with Supervisor Bruno on the hallway that I'm getting concerned going into this winter because under maintenance for this summer, I can deal with the shortage of help there, but when come winter months, I'm gonna have a problem plowing roads with where I'm right now, I'm 11 guys down. And we can't even get temporary guys to come in the door.
Mr. McGowan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this an opportunity? I'm just putting it out there. Is increasing that grade maybe entice someone to come in instead of starting them this fall? I mean, that's, since we're working toward this process of giving some raises, but can we increase that grade? Are we able to do that? To maybe, to make it a medium. I mean, to get some people in. I mean, this scares me, especially coming in for the winter. I know what happens when we were supposed to get 9 inches and we got 36 inches. My phone was ringing off the hook. He couldn't get out of the driveway. Imagine when this happens every time it snows because he has no one to drive. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that filling positions, we got to get out on the street to try to fill these positions. But I think in terms of the sequel, Mr. McGowan, is what you're referring to. I don't think there's any question that this is going to be part of a much bigger discussion that I think is about to take place. But I have to say, this problem exists at the municipal level. We just, as you know, Glens Falls Transit is having great difficulties finding drivers and has commenced discussions with Capital District so I mean, it's a big problem. It's a big problem, and I'm not sure sitting here today that we really have the full answer to the problem because I'm not sure. It may be that perhaps our population is just not capable of supporting the demand for these many MEOs, where a larger population area has a bigger pool to pull from. I don't know. I mean, I think it's and I think the state now, I think, is actually paying for the, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, well, I was going to, a couple of things. The other thing that's making it very difficult right now is anybody who comes in, and I accept people to come into the county without a CDL. I'm not sure if all the towns do that or not, but they can come in without a CDL, and we used to give them the training. Currently, there's a program in place from the federal motor carriers that anybody who does not have a CDL has to go through 2 different programs. One is a Class B, which is about $1,700 their cost, and the other one would be a Class A, which is about $2,900. Now, I've spoken with Eliza Osendorf about this, and she thinks there may be a way that we could, I don't know if it depends on income level or not, but that there could be a share of the cost. So maybe the county would, but right now I'm currently not budgeted to share that cost. But it's a new program and went into effect this February. So it's harder to get people in the door who don't have the CDL now because they have to pay for that program up front. The other part of it is somebody who already has a CDL, they're going to go somewhere else and make more money than they will here at the county. I was actually jogging through my head. I know another job for me to take on that I was going to get my CDL in case we fell short. So.
Those trucks, I'm not sure we can operate.
All right. I hope that So we're going to move forward to fill these positions, but as far as the grading and the salary and training and all that, we'll have to stay tuned to hear from you on that, Kevin, and from the chairman and others relative to this issue. And it is an issue. Mr. McGowan.
Yeah, so that means we can't increase that here?
Go ahead, Kevin.
I was just gonna say, we can't, it has to go, that has to go through personnel, and I think we'd have to look into that about, for that matter, increasing anything. Because how does that impact the other grades when you start to increase one grade? You're gonna start impacting other positions throughout the county, and this committee would not be doing it anyways. I believe we would take it up in personnel, but increasing also, I think, would have to go back in front of the union.
I just was trying to reach out there to help the process.
Yeah, no, we appreciate your comments, Supervisor McGowan, as always, and it's a big concern, big concern. All right, then, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of resolutions relating to items 5 and 6 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Discussion items, update on construction projects, Kevin?
Yeah, and it's a long list, and I will try to go through them fairly quick, knowing that you need to leave. So the first one would be ongoing construction projects, Bolton Landing, Riverbank Road, County Route 11. Basically, the work is substantially complete. Their final cleanup of shoulder stone backup within the next couple of weeks. Church Street, which was in the town of Chester, which is County Route 43, was a mill and fill, and the work is completed on that. Watering Tub Road, County Route 53 in the town of Horicon, top course paving to be completed this week. Pilot Knob, they did a cold in place recycling, and the top course paving was completed on Friday. They have some final work items to complete. Hadley Road in the town of Stony Creek is getting its top course pavement this week. Attica Drive in the town of Chester, milling and paving work is complete, and they have some punch list items to take care of. Harrington Hill Road in the town of Warrensburg, they're under reclamation right now and paving to take place the week of 6/27. South Johnsburg Road, reclamation work to begin this week after they finish Harrington Hill, and paving will take place the week of July 4th. Landon Hill reclamation will begin also next week, and paving to take place on that road on the 11th or somewhere around the week of the 11th in July. Friends Lake Road, Attica in the town of Chester will begin reclamation on the 4th, and paving will take place around the 18th. We had a lot of projects this year. Summit Drive reclamation work to begin the 11th or so of July, and paving will take place about the 25th of July. Bay Road, County Route 7 over Halfway Creek. This is the federal aid project. Utility coordination is currently underway with the relocation of the utilities. That road will be closed as of July 11th, and they must have that road open. And this is to put the bridge in place by August 29th, or otherwise they'll face liquidated damages. Although we're running into issues with National Grid right now, gas. So they were going to have a meeting with them this morning to determine what we can do to make things run a little bit smoother or go a little bit quicker. And that project should be substantially complete or final completion in October this year. Horicon Avenue, as the chairman knows, is started up in the town of Bolton. Construction is underway with the detour in place. They did encounter rock last week that they were unable to remove with a hoe ram. So they're talking about doing some minor drilling and blasting in areas so that they then can try the hoe ram in those areas where they blasted. That project is a 3-sided culvert span unit, and it's expected completion in September of this year. Palisades Road over Brant Lake Bridge replacement. The bridge opened this week. They don't have the final guide rail up. They have some barriers and such in place, some alternating one-way traffic here and there. And within the next couple of weeks, probably by the middle of July, they will have wrapped up that project with the guide rail and the cap on the retaining wall in place. Upcoming for this year still, we have Omstead Road, County Route 19. Which will be awarded construction somewhere about September for them to kind of start the work. Most of the work, I think, will take place in spring of 2023. That's another federal aid project. Johnsburg Bridge replacements from Glen Creek Road, Dippy Kill Road over Glen Creek. construction contract to be advertised and bid opening in August. And I anticipate the majority of that federal aid project with those bridges to take place in 2023. Sagamore Road retaining wall, right-of-way permitting and detailed of the new design is being completed. Award of contract is scheduled for August of this year and construction to be completed by fall, winter of this year. Stony Creek Road, County Route 2 over number 9 Brook. Right away and permitting is being finalized. Right away is finalized at this point. And we've actually asked them with that project as well as the Bay Road collapse culvert project to give us the detailed specs on the culvert so we can have them out to bid. So we expect to put those bids out within the next couple of weeks, and both of them will be most likely 3-sided culverts. The one for Stony Creek is not as big. The one for Bay Road will be 28.5 feet. And that's the bank full width that we have to go through with the permit with DEC. Main Street and County Route 77 reconstruction in town of Johnsburg. We are at the point of construction contracts to be advertised for bidding. And we're waiting upon award of the town of Johnsburg water main replacement that, and kind of where their schedule is going to fall out because there's a lot of lead time on the water line material. So we'll determine from that where our schedule, but that may be a late, I'm almost thinking it's going to be spring of next year. But we'll wait and see when the town of Johnsburg, and I'm not sure if Andrea has anything to say, but when the town of Johnsburg gets the bids back and what the schedule shows. The last one I have on here is Coolidge Hill. Design is currently underway. And award of the contract will be September with, we believe, the majority of the work taking place this year, and there will be some cleanup in the spring. The last couple ones are going to probably push till next year, which would be Diamond Point Road, because there's a significant amount of drainage to do. Westbrook Road and Fort George. We're hoping fall of 22 for those two, but we'll see how they pan out. And the last, and but not least, the biggest one we have is Quaker Road will most likely go out to advertise this fall and awarded this fall as well for a spring construction. That is a $12.5 million project for Quaker Road from one end to the other. With that being said, I talked about it out in the hallway with a couple of supervisors. We had to, we're down to 3 engineering staff right now, completing almost $40 million, close to $50 million worth of work. And we're holding our head above water, but we are all working hard to keep all those projects that I said going, as well as the Motion property and the court projects and things like that. So we're doing it, but that's the other area that I'm also having a hard time finding decent help in is engineering as well.
We had somebody.
We had a couple terminations.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes, thank you. Real quickly, the Bay Road, the bridge, is that a complete closure of that in the detour, or is there any temporary bridge?
For the one at Quaker Road, that'll be a complete closure from the 11th of July till the 29th, and there will be a detour in place.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people consider the county very flush to our fund balance, but when you start to listen to these projects and you start adding these costs, and that's apart from any of our personnel adjustments that get made, and with supposedly a recession looming on the horizon, whether it happens or not, who's crystal ball. I think that we really need to think about where we can consolidate. We need to consolidate. So, I mean, for example, I don't know how much resources still available under ARPA, but you know, I think, and Ryan, if you're still on the line, you know, some of those dollars could be taken for lost revenue during the COVID period, and we could drop some of that resource to our general fund dedicated to any of those two elements, infrastructure or personnel. And I know that it's potentially a point of argument, and I'm not I'm just saying that that's one idea. There may be others out there that we really need to begin to, I mean, just the, yeah, just the culvert to bridge. I don't even want to guess at what that bridge is. Is it a steel deck bridge that's going to replace that culvert or a box
Be a
culvert?
steel- It'll be steel beams. It won't be a steel deck.
Steel beam bridge. I mean,
Or we will go to the three-sided box culvert. They're looking at both options to see what the best.
I mean, that's one. Then, of course, you got the bridge at Sagamore and you've got all the other projects and we still have our personnel matters to deal with here. But by any count, we're into the many, many, many millions of dollars beyond what we had anticipated. And so, you know, my recommendation at this stage is if we have an opportunity to move resources to bear on at least to these two primary issues, we should do that. But that's just my thinking. Kevin?
Yeah, just to add real quick. So between the Bay Road collapsed culvert as well as the one in Stony Creek or in Thurman on Warrensburg Road, both those right now we're looking at engineers estimate of approximately probably $3 million between the both of them. We already figured it was about 1.2 for the one. I know under the ARPA funding, there is opportunity to do culvert work under the ARPA funding. But the thing is, you know, we've always had little bits of money left over in road projects from previous years, and we've been very smart with the funding that we have, and we haven't necessarily come back to committee to ask for a lot, but with the fuel and asphalt price adjustments for these projects this year, it's pushing all the projects up. But some of that funding that we had and some of those leftover projects, we haven't come back to the committee. We've been smart about saying, let's pull that into transfers to capital project and then move it in to do these. So we haven't had to come back, but with those two culverts specifically, I'm going to have to come back to the committee and ask for either funding through ARPA, and I can put them in as ARPA applications if that's the recommendation. I'm more than willing to do that.
Well, again, I don't know if there's any resource there, but if there is, I mean, I think that the county administrator and the county treasurer could give you substantiation for lost revenue and it would drop to our general fund and then we could appropriate out of our general fund. But I can tell you that we're looking at some very, very serious big ticket items here. And let me tell you, it adds up fast.
I think if you have any projects that are viable projects for ARPA, you should have to submit them. That's what it's all about, trying to keep everybody whole.
But I wouldn't, we didn't take those dollars for lost revenue, which we could have. And so even if it's a project, a major project that perhaps we should take part of it. I don't know if there's any ARPA dollars available. If there is, I think at least it's something, not to create an argument, Dennis, with our colleagues, but if there's anything there that can provide assistance to the general fund, boy, now's the time to move that resource into place, because I think
That's what I'm saying. We have money.
we've got some major issues out in front of us. And if we fall into a recession here, which is what they're saying, and the cost of energy is rising, and as are other products and goods and services. So anyway, those are my thoughts on
We
that.
have a long list of projects, and some of them are really good projects, and some of them are not.
All right, then. Don, any discussion on the YouTube? Any questions?
Hi, Chairman Conover. No, there is nothing comment-wise on YouTube.
Good job.
Okay. Then the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Merlino, Mr. Dickinson on the second. All those in favor?